Peepssss, what's up? It's your boy Metaphysical Marc here. So today I will be going live with a special guest. I want to go live a couple minutes before just to give you guys just a premise. If you guys have been with me this year and seen the other lives I've done, I've tried to bring on people who are experts in their field, in the field of mental health and consciousness, and just cultivating better lifestyle changes and better paradigms to accompany these lifestyle changes and actually how to get there. So this guest that I actually have on today with me, her story is phenomenal. She definitely has faced a lot of adversity in her life and has overcome it by cultivating her mind, which led her into her field of work now as she went back to school and, got her degree in psychology. And now she's using what she knows from experience and from education and being at the University of Florida to combine her understanding of what's needed right now in this world and the interpersonal relationship between the mental, physical, and spiritual aspects of life. A lot of the times, people think it's such a separation, but it's really not. It's really something that's, very universal when you look at it and in terms of connecting and connection. So, like I said, her story is phenomenal. I can't wait to bring her on so then she can tell you guys more about it, because I don't want to go into it too much and have spoilers, but the things that she's doing in this world is very revolutionary in the way that we really look at psychology and really look at mental health. Because this year, if you haven't noticed, has been huge with mental health. It's something that we've definitely been looking and honing into on a global scale because of how much of an importance it really is, and it's actually bringing it to light with this COVID situation and how many people are really going through depression, how many people are really realizing that they're depressed and they've been going through motions, how many people realize they're not happy, all the stress coming into a home, how it relates to the kids, how it relates to your spouse, how it relates to just how you're going about operating. And I think it's very important that we shine light on it. So I'm going to try to find her, bring her up on here. Yes, I'm just waiting for her to join, then we're gonna hop right into it. But yeah, like I was saying, guys, this year's been a crazy year for everyone, every level, from even the kids going back to school and having to deal with social distancing with kids. Like, how do you tell kids to go play but they can't stand within 6 feet of each other? You know what I mean? It's a different dynamic of the world that we're experiencing right now. A lot of things have been brought to light, and it's just about changing how you want to view yourself in the world, how you want to see yourself in the world, not necessarily how others see you. Because, it's important, but it's not as important as how you see yourself, because that's the most important, is you and how your relationship with yourself. Because if you have a good relationship with yourself, then automatically it's going to spew into every other relationship and relations that you have. So self-worth is amazing. It brings a different dynamic to you as a person. So still if y'all have any questions that you want to see on the live and see in the video, feel free to drop some questions. I wish it was a way to actually go into the thing and still go live, but it's not. technology. I hope I don't have to go out of this and then go back to it. I hope that's not something that I would have to do. Hey, there we go. Okie dokie. Here we go. Hey, how you doing?
Hello. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So I went on a little bit earlier just to, give everybody a synopsis of, who you are, and I didn't go into too much details because I wanted to leave that to you. Um,
Oh man, well thank you.
but I definitely let them know about, just how we got into contact and what the basic premise of me bringing you on to talk about, mental health and what you've done and is and are doing in the field of psychology on that side. And, I wanted to really just introduce you and let you get a platform to spread the awareness of, you know, just how important mental health really is.
Well that's a really open-ended question. It's a lot. There's a lot that I'm doing and there's a lot that needs to be done, I think. So I'm Amanda. I'm a mental health counselor. I'm a life coach. You're gonna have to ask me some questions, y'all.
Oh, definitely, definitely,
Just
definitely.
ask me some questions.
Tell them a little bit about, what got you into the field of psychology, what really made you.
I actually started in ministry. So I started at a church 2007. I was there for a really long time. Just kind of really started falling in love with people in that process. And so that's where I started. I had a love for people. It was genuine and just kind of that process of life and humanity as a whole. So then I went into my master's program as a counselor and I fell in love with the ability to just kind of help people by talking to them and getting them to change their perspectives. But then I was met with a lot of obstacles um, culturally, I think, and also like with my values system that I challenged and that I am working on creating adaptations for now. It took a while, getting my PhD now, and it took getting a lot of experience. But I think what I saw is that there just wasn't enough for us. There wasn't enough tools that could work for us that we had access to, or people who could explain these things to.
Definitely,
Mindset shifts are huge. They're
definitely,
huge. They've been
definitely,
huge in my life. Like I can help somebody shift their mindset like that, that changes how they think about their whole day or
yeah,
a whole situation or event that happened in their life to now
definitely.
where they're freed from that and they can continue to explore new journeys and have new experiences in life.
What are some of the obstacles that you actually, face during this time of, actually going into the workplace and having a different ideal than most?
Oh man, it was rough. It was really rough. From the very beginning, I can say I'm big on ethics. Like I was really big on ethics coming out of my master's program. Like, man, I'm gonna help people. This is gonna be great. And then I get into these agencies, and they don't care about people. They don't care about people
Yeah,
at all. They care about their
unfortunately.
bottom line, the money,
Hmm.
and that is it. And what really hurt me was I can never put money above people.
Yeah,
Like that's just not me. And so that was really rough being in that situation. But what I learned from it was how to run a business.
hmm,
And what I challenged was how to run a business and not care about people.
yeah.
So I'm running a business
That
that
cares
cares
about
about
people.
people.
Yeah, because a lot of people think they can't coexist. Like people think a businessman is supposed to be, um, you know, morally unjust at times just to
Hmm.
profit the business. But I feel like from, a business standpoint that, the people that have the longevity is because of how they treat people. The people that really
Absolutely.
build those business connections is based off their character. Because I don't want to work with somebody, partner with somebody that I know is like grimy and they'll cross me in
Hmm.
a heartbeat. You know what I mean? That's not
And
a
it's
good
that
business partner.
motivation.
Hmm.
If I don't care about people and my motivation is money, when does that motivation fade?
Exactly.
You see? But
Yeah.
I care about people, so my motivation never fades.
No matter how much money comes, how much it goes, it's still you're still driven by what you're bringing to the table for people,
Right.
and that's so
And
important.
that's I started my business, Amanda Ashley Life, for people. And I actually started it with no way to monetize it because that was not in the forefront of my brain. It was, how can I support us? How can
Hmm.
I create a community-based website that can first start with my community, with my people, with where I'm from, with the struggles that I know because of the experiences that I've had right here in Gainesville, Florida, or Ocala, Florida, right here in this city and this community. Like, how can I first help them? And I think that as a whole in this nation, we forget about our backyard, and I hate that.
Yeah.
Like, we have so much stuff going on in the Black community right now that we need to be lifted.
Hmm.
And there are still people who want to travel to other countries, and
Yeah.
that's great, but we need to fix our own home first. So that's kind of
Exactly.
how I feel about that. And so I left Gainesville for a little while, and I came back, and I came back strong, and I came back with a purpose.
That's
And
that's
I'm not
amazing.
going anywhere until my
Yeah.
until my city is lifted.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a testimony in itself, and in a lot of the rural minority, poverty-stricken communities in the South. A lot of people don't really understand like Southern living is it's hard in the South, man. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
like right now I'm in Massachusetts at the moment, but like back home it's been like 5 deaths in the last 2 months. And it's been
Yes.
like very close knit
Yes.
community deaths. That's like, wow, this is really what our community is turning into. Um,
Hmm.
and it's crazy because like I remember back in the days, like how the community took care of each other. Like we didn't care, what I mean? We know it's one side, you have the gangsters, you have the,
Hmm.
but then you have
Hmm.
the elders, the OGs, the real mothers of the community and the father figures, and we all shared the same morale. Like I remember vividly just being probably 12, 13 years old, trying to go out and go do what everybody else doing. And like a OG really looking at me like, what the hell you think you doing here? And I'm like, I'm trying to, they're like, you got
Put you in your
practice in the
place.
morning. Go home. Like, what are you're not about to be out here with us. Like, you got a game. Like,
Hmm.
so it was morals when it, and I think we've lost so much of that in the sense of, um, just the dynamic, it's so much of a lack of
Well,
community in that aspect that a lot of people don't. We think we're the enemy. The person on the street is the enemy. This person I have to fight against the most. And
yeah,
I
and I don't think that we've lost it. I think it's still in us because those are that's us.
agree,
Like,
agree,
we are that people. You see what I'm saying?
agree,
Like, I don't think
definitely,
we've lost it. I think society has tried to disguise it, change it, all of those things. But when it comes to like community, that's us.
hmm,
Like, that's how we operate. And when it comes to like, you know, stepping on your brother's neck or whatever, like, that's a place that a lot of us are in because of our social status and because of the racial discrimination and the lack of
agree,
opportunities. Like, Maslow, his hierarchy of needs in psychology is, the first realm is biological needs. Humans need to have food and water and what sustains us biologically.
hmm,
Next, we need to feel safe. We need to feel safe in our communities. We need to feel safe and have safety and security. And then the next one is love and belonging. And then there are
gotcha,
a couple above that. But this really, I challenge this 100% within our community or humanity as a whole, because when we put love and belonging above our safety, above our biological needs, we're not loving our neighbor.
hmm,
We are not helping them get to where they need to go because we are not looking at that. We are stepping on our brother. We are fighting them. We are shooting them because we are in a state where we got to get it or we're dying.
yeah,
And that's how we feel. Like, we got to get it out in the mud.
yeah,
So I
like
got to,
really do or die, yeah, yeah, and it's
it's that
it's
crab in
it's
the
it's
bucket
that paradigm.
mentality.
Yep, it's that
And so
paradigm
then
that we
now we're all going to
constructed.
die.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
that's
that
what's happening.
paradigm. Yep. And that's
So
why it's so important that, changing that way of view, because like you said, you can change somebody's whole outlook on a situation by just changing their paradigm and
put
changing their
it
perspective.
first.
Exactly.
Love and belonging first. So as a community, we can help each other rise.
Mm-hmm.
And we
And
can
feel
build a
safe.
platform so we can all climb up out of that pot or that bucket.
Exactly. 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 Like it's a inclusion. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's more so that's the way you get things moving in a lot of
Hmm.
in our community. And what we're shown is the complete opposite. What we're shown is you either go to school or you play ball or you stuck on the streets. It's no
Hmm.
other way in between it at all. What we're
And I think
told,
that's a Southern thing too, because that's
definitely.
not Black people everywhere.
No, because sports is such a, you know, like I said, we're from Florida. It's only three real big sports states. We have literally three of the
Hmm.
top colleges, four really
Hmm.
of the top colleges, including UCF now, in sports.
We got a lot of
And
HBCUs.
yeah, included HBCUs. Definitely have a lot of HBCUs. Now that I really think about it, we have what, three professional football teams in our, like, only in our city, like in our
Hmm.
state. It's outrageous how, you know athletically driven that our state is, and the
Hmm.
community is a byproduct of it. You know what I mean? So it's automatically something that we hold to a higher core because it's a way out. So it's really a way out for us. Especially in those states that that talent is there. You
Hmm.
can go out and go do a lot of things if
Man, we
taught
are
how
so
to.
talented though, in so
Yes,
many
in
different
so many
ways.
different ways. Yes, yes,
You know
yes,
what
and
I
that's why I
tell
want to bring
people?
the arts back.
We have Black people have built the entire infrastructure of this entire nation, and we don't get no credit for it. Can you think about that for a minute? All of the financial wealth and all of these, like Hell Plantation is a prime example in Gainesville, Florida. That was
Yeah,
built by all Black people, and don't know Black people really stay out there.
yeah. No, definitely. It's because it's a
But we have so
misconception.
much power, and we
It's
don't
a
even see it
misconception.
sometimes. Like we built this whole thing.
It's a misconception. You know what I mean? Like we feel like victims. Like I was saying, like we have a victim mindset so much now that it's like our ancestors never had a victim mindset. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's all about how you view things. They believed in higher purposes. They believed in spirituality. They
Hmm.
had something that it was there with them that they couldn't tangibly feel with their hands, but they felt it in their soul. So they knew that even though they getting whipped on their back, you know what I mean, they're still alive. So they're grateful to be
Yeah,
alive. So they're singing songs of joy and rejoicing while they're, taking scraps and making them
and
into
making the
cuisine.
best
You know
out
what I
of it.
mean? Making it into
Right.
whole Southern
That's
cuisines. And it's
dope.
like we have to get back to that part of when we're faced with adversity, because adversity is always going to come. As a people, we've been faced with adversity
Hmm.
for eons. You know what I mean? So it's just how
But
we
that's why your
come
mental
about it.
health is so important.
So important. So especially now with everything that's being just shown and just thrown at us. Like,
Hmm.
it's easy to get overwhelmed. It's easy to not know, which side is which and which you're supposed to, really be looking at. Um, and I feel like having a foundation, knowing who you are, knowing, your stance and your faith and what you believe in, your morals, your inner self is what I,
Yes.
on the spiritual aspect, try to bring to the table is getting that connection with yourself. So when you're like this with yourself, anything outside of you, you're not going to be moved. You're going to
Right.
move everything outside of you at that point to get in more alignment with what you have with yourself. So
Absolutely.
it goes, like I said, I love the way that it's the same work but different sides of the field, because having communication like this is so good, because even the layers that you were speaking about, like in association with chakras, that's the first three lower chakras. It's survival, then it's like feeling safe and protected, and then you go into expression with feeling how I feel, this and this and this, and then you move into the higher chakras where it's love, communication, and just higher understanding. So when you were saying that, I was like, wow, that's right correlation with the first three chakras that a lot of people, that's the only ones they actually like open up and work with on this plane without understanding the other ones, because it's survival, it's
We're
feeling
stuck.
safe and exactly. So shifting that paradigm and, taking those emotions and actually having an emotional intellect with those emotions and
Mhm.
actually using the higher aspects of yourself and the mental aspect of yourself changes everything, even changes your physical body itself,
Mhm.
um so it's so important for people to really to get a understanding of how easy it is to really influence
Mhm.
the change in your life. Like it's
All
so
five of your
easy.
senses affect your mental health. All five
Hmm.
of them. They all affect your brain chemistry. So if you're working out or you're not working out, that affects your brain chemistry. It can cause depression. It has the power to lift your depression.
Yeah.
Anxiety, all of those things are chemical imbalances.
Hmm.
Um, the way you eat, how you're smelling, physical touch releases oxytocin. Like when you're in a relationship with somebody and y'all break up, your brain is in withdrawal. Like it's legit. Like you literally
That makes a lot
feel
of
that.
sense.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So all of your physical five senses affect your brain chemistry. And especially in COVID, there's a lot of them that we haven't been able to really navigating, like physical touch. That's a
Hmm.
huge one. People are not engaging with people as much as we would because we got to have six feet. So it ain't no physical touch, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of things, like the way that we eat, especially in America, the way that we eat, we have depressed people because of the things that we put in our body.
Definitely.
We have anxious people because our lifestyles are not balanced.
Hmm.
I can literally say, hey, do you have a budget? Like you come to me with anxiety, but do you have a budget? Like, because that can really be giving you anxiety.
Definitely, and stress, and then that's gonna,
Are you working out? Are you
correlate
eating
directly
right?
to it. Exactly. So it's so many factors of, mental health that we have to look at and how we can improve it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? We people think that you have to eat so much. You can intermediate fast that can bring your body back into
Absolutely.
homeostasis. You know what I mean? It brings you
Absolutely.
back into chemical balance because you're not feeding it the junk. Like it would rather not just drink
Yep.
water than to you to feed it this junk
Yep.
that you just this processed, fast paced lifestyle that we live in that, you know, sometimes we really just need to slow down. We need to really just slow down and really think about the things that we're saying. You know what I mean? And the things that we're doing to ourselves.
Hmm.
We're in an era of victimization. Like I was saying, that everyone's like, well, they're doing this, or we should, instead of like, what can I do to better myself every day?
Accountability.
Accountability. And it's so important because
But
it
oppression
separates
affects
you.
that
De-
accountability a lot
yeah,
because when
definitely.
you're in a state of oppression, it's hard to feel accountable when there are people who are limiting you,
Yeah,
right? Who are oppressing you, who are saying, okay, now you can't do this. It's hard for you to feel empowered in that state.
agreed. Especially when everything's against you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's easy to fall into that
but you
victimhood.
can't be against you.
Yeah,
And so I
facts.
really liked how you said, like being grounded and rooted in yourself.
Hmm.
That's something that has helped me throughout my entire life. I've been through a lot of different tragedies, like as a little girl, as a teenager, as an adult, as a mother, like all different times in my life I've been through different tragedies, but I knew who I was. And so no matter
Definitely.
what I went through, I knew that there were certain things I wouldn't do because I knew who I was. And I knew there were certain places that I would end up because I knew who I was. So regardless of where I was in that present moment, I
You know who
knew that
you
I
were.
was going to be somewhere else and I
Yeah.
knew who I was. So whether I could see what was going on around me or not, I knew my direction.
And that's faith. That is faith-based living and
Absolutely.
lifestyle. And that's how I live my life. And it took a while for that because of, you know, going through things that I went through too. But I always stayed true to who I really was because, I know how it feels to not. And then I feel horrible at the guilt. Like my guilt will eat my
Hmm.
whole entire spirit up to where I'm tossing and turning about, the littlest thing. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
taking a cookie. I'm tossing and turning, because like inside I'm like, you didn't even need that cookie. You just, so it's like just staying with yourself and knowing who you are and having that morale and understanding that, this is you and you can stand on those morals. You can stand on who you are and still make it in this world. You don't have to succumb to the world because the world's forever changing. It's always going to
Absolutely.
change. So if you
Absolutely.
if you rely on what's going on around you to
know how you're
No
going to
matter who
feel
the
and what's going to
president
influence
is.
you. Exactly. You're going to be moved here and there and there and there and here and there and here and there. And you're going to go nuts. That's going to literally drive you crazy because you have nothing to really stand on. You have no foundation. So foundation is so important because you don't want to try to build. You can't build on no foundation. It's going to always be starting over. You know, I always have to start over. I'm going to start over. So I try to tell people all the time to first and foremost love yourself. Like give it to yourself. Like if you're going through what you're going through, sit in yourself and understand why you're feeling this way. Like you saw that person made you mad. Why'd you get mad? That person just walked in. That don't got nothing to do with them. They didn't influence you at all. You just took in something that,
Your
they
perspective.
triggered in you. Exactly.
It's the way that you see things. It's the way that you see yourself and the world around you, for sure.
Exactly. And that's like, cultivating your power. That's your
Yes.
power. It's your choice to make that emotion. I had a psychology teacher, well, actually a philosophy teacher that that I actually dropped the class because he asked me this question. And I was just like, dog, this doesn't make any sense. And then he
I
said
want
it
to
and
know
I
the
was like,
question
this
now.
makes no sense. It's like, okay, he said if something happens to you, let's say a car, runs a red light and hits you or something like that. Are you responsible for that? And I was like, no, that person is obviously.
Well,
He's
you was
like, you're 100% responsible for everything that happens to you in your life.
you
And I was like,
have to
that
be.
doesn't even make any sense. That's
That's
like, no, it's, no, I'm not. He's like, no, you are. And I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, but you are. And I was like, I'm getting out of this class. So this is philosophy. This is bull crap. You know what I mean? Until I realized exactly what he was saying. Someone really broke it down years later. And I was like, wow, this is what this man was trying to tell me at this young age, that I have control of every reaction. You know what I mean? Like it's up to me to how I react to any situation. So that makes it
you
how
make
it
the way.
impacts me. Exactly, exactly, exactly. So that car could have ran and did that, and I could have been like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, well, maybe this was happening for a
I'm
reason.
gonna give
I'm
you a
still
very
alive.
simple example. I tell people all the time, if I believe that people don't like me, like that's a core belief that I have,
Yeah.
and you invite me to a party or you invite me live or something, I'm gonna say no because I feel like people don't like me. Or if I do go, I'm probably gonna be on my phone in the corner somewhere, not really interacting with a lot of people. So then
Hmm.
people probably aren't gonna like me, right?
Definitely.
But if I believe in my core that people do like me and you invite me to a party, I'm gonna be like, yeah, you're gonna invite me to the party because people like me. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna hang out with people and I'm gonna be around people because people like me.
Yeah,
So it's how we think that affects what we say and what we do.
definitely.
And it's just like the Bible says, believing, speaking, and acting. It's the
Hmm.
same thing with what we use. It's called cognitive behavioral therapy, where we change your core beliefs, which allows you to change your response.
It's so much like psychology that goes into
Mhm.
basically the mental principles that I go along with too. That's how I, help people change their paradigms, like by their core understanding and focusing on changing that for, a period of time until it becomes natural, and changing your habits. I always say, your thoughts becomes your actions, your actions become traits, and traits become your personality. Um,
Yeah.
because it's just as however long you stay on that path is what it really becomes. And I always say I've embodied my beliefs. You know what I mean? So I no longer see myself separate from the things that I teach or the things that I talk about or the things, because now I am exactly the things that I studied. Because I studied it so long and
What?
implemented it in my daily life that now it's like this is what I do. I wake up and meditate. Like, it's just what it is. It's not something that's like, oh, no,
That's
I just meditate.
very freeing. It was
Yeah.
definitely very freeing. But what I realized is that I'm human,
Hmm.
right? Like I'm not perfect. I don't have everything figured out, but I'm figuring it out.
Yeah. And that's the beauty in it. It makes life live worth living. You know what I mean? Would hate to be a perfect person trying to live in the world. Like, because you would be so hard on yourself for every little thing, and then you have no room to learn.
And you're anxious.
And exactly, you're always ready
That's
to.
what anxiety is. It's like this. It
Yeah.
starts small and it says you need to pay attention. You need to pay attention to something internal or external, but there's something you need to pay attention to. If you don't know how to pay attention to it or you
Hmm.
don't pay attention to it, it becomes overwhelming
Yeah.
and affects every area of your life.
Definitely.
Really important to listen to your emotions.
Yes, I just had a client actually come to me last night about that. Um, she was upset because she's working so hard at getting over, what she's going through. And I was like, you have to understand, you did a lot of healing in these, short term, but you're still healing. It's a process. You have to understand that and give yourself that room. I was like, you can't you can't combat yourself. When you're already halfway down the ski slope, you might as well just continue down that ski slope until you finish, and then look back at the ride and say, well, why did I feel this way at this time? What made me do this? What made me do this? And then you go back up, and now you're not going to go down that path again because you've actually really evaluated the emotions, but you had to go through them. If you fought them the whole time, you wouldn't even know where the end and the beginning of the next trial even starts. You know what I mean? Because you're so caught up in it. So it's you're absolutely correct there. You're absolutely correct. It's that emotional intellect, and knowing why you're feeling this way, knowing that you don't have to feel this way. You know what I mean? Knowing your triggers, knowing you. It really comes down to truly understanding you at every level, emotional level. You know what I mean? A mental level, a physical level.
Authentic with yourself.
Yes. That's that love. I tell people, love yourself, give it to yourself. Like, you give love to yourself, you're gonna give it to everybody. It's
Right.
just what it is. It's just how it's a byproduct of loving yourself. It's that you love everything else. Like, it's just natural. So it's good. It's good to, have both sides and to understand, the mental principles behind a lot of the issues that we deal with that we see on a daily. Another thing that I love about what you do is the family principle and aspect of it as well. Like, could you go into a little bit of details about, the parenting? Yes.
Yeah, so parent-child interaction therapy, I just recently got certified, but I've been working for about a year now with parent-child interaction therapy, and I'm currently working on some underground adaptations for us because there are some cultural responses that are different. And basically, though, parent-child interaction therapy is focusing on the relationship between the parent and the child. It's a positive and trusted relationship that we're building. So as parents, all the time, we know we have to correct our children. We are bringing them, raising them up for the world that we live in. So we have to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that they know what they need to know. But we don't have to be in a corrective sense. So I'll give you an example of kind of how I relate PCIT to everyday life. You have a job, okay? You go to work. Your boss all week is saying, I don't like the way you did this. I think that you should do that better. You were a minute late coming back from the bathroom. Try next time to be on time. Like all week, he's correcting you. When Friday hits and he says, "Can you stay an hour later?" You're like, "Hell no, straight. I'm out. It's Friday. I gotta go." But all week, if he's saying, I love the way you did this. Could you help with this? I really value you as an employee. I noticed you were a minute late from the bathroom. Are you okay? Do you need some time? And then Friday hits and he says, I really love all the work you did this week. Could you stay an hour later and really help me knock this out? You're like, oh, sure, I got you, because I'm valued. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just like that with our kids, with parent-child interaction therapy. Instead of yelling at my kids all day, stop running, I say, walk, please. Stop doing that. I say, oh, I love how you did this. So I have two boys, they're 3 and 4. They don't always share their toys. They like to fight every once in a while, I'm telling you.
That's
So
boys.
I'm always telling them, though, I love when they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Those are the things that I'm catching. I'm not
Got
catching
you.
all the negative stuff they're doing because they're learning. I'm
Yeah.
catching all the positive things they're doing. So I'm not only telling them what they should be doing, but I'm praising them for those things.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm like, oh, I love how you're sharing with your brother. You're so nice. I'm glad you were great at school today. Like, I'm always saying those positive things. So when I pick my kids up from school, they're like, Mommy, I was good in school today and I shared my stuff and I was nice to my brother and to my
They
friends.
love
Like,
that. Yeah.
they're focused on what they should be doing, not what they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
They
That and
get
that changes the
attention.
whole literally paradigm of your interaction with your kids. You know what I mean? Like,
And I'm happy. I ain't stressed out because I'm not
yeah.
yelling at them all day.
Exactly. And that's huge because that's a lot of these kids, you know what I mean? These kids, it's like, Is it the kids, or is it just you?
They
You don't
are
know
a
how to handle the
reflection of
kids at this
us.
moment. Exactly.
They are
Like
an absolute reflection of us.
I love the interaction I have with my daughter. My daughter's 7, so like she's getting to the age where she's always been really, really smart compared to like a lot of kids her age, because of her processing. She can process a lot of things. Her comprehension level is ridiculous, and it always has been. So
We have to talk
me,
to our kids.
exactly. So since she was like 3 months, I had full blown conversations with my daughter. I never talked baby talk to her, none of that. I talk to her like I'm talking to you right now.
Mhm.
I sit and
Your
she'll
little
give me
kid.
like a blah 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 blah, and I'll be like, exactly, you got me. So
I
we
do
still
that too.
we still do the same thing. You know what I mean? I sit and I talk to
Mhm.
her. I ask her like, instead of like, hey, get up, we finna go to the park. I'm like, hey, my like, what you want to do? You want to go to the park, or you feel like going to watch the movie, or you just don't want to do either? You just want to chill. Like, what you want to do? Like, I want to feel what you are really feeling. You know what I mean? Like, get
How
you
old
in
is your
touch
daughter?
with your. She's 7 now. Yeah, so like I've been doing
Be
this with
careful
her
with the
since she
little ones,
was,
though.
you know, no, definitely,
When
definitely,
they think
definitely.
they have a choice.
No, I know. That's why I give it, like I minimalize it to like,
Yeah.
hey, here's 3 things that like I'm cool with
There are
doing.
boundaries. That's exactly.
Yes, like I don't be like, what you want to do? Because we'll be in Disney somewhere, and I'd be like, I'm not. I don't know. We're not going to Disney,
Yeah.
So I give her, like I limit the options, so then I'm okay with whichever one, but I want her to feel out what she feels like doing. Like when I ask her that, she's like, I just feel like relaxing, and I'm like, cool, because I know if you really want to go to the park, you'd be like, Daddy, I'm trying to go to the park. You know what I mean? So
Empowering so many great things in her that way.
yeah, yeah, and giving her own mind, her own sense of like she didn't have to do it because her daddy said it. She's like, no, my dad actually gave me an option. I really didn't feel like doing it. He was like, oh, okay, but I just try to let her still be a child and as a parent mold her strengths and like show her weaknesses and shine that light on it too, so then she can mold her strengths with her weaknesses, knowing how to combat herself. You know what I mean? And that's so important to try to install in her as a youth, because I wish somebody did that to me in that way. I wish I was, instead of told what to do, you supposed to do this, and I'd be like, well, why? And they're like, because I said so. I hated that growing up. That was the biggest thing
Well,
I hated. Because if you explained it to me, I'd be like, okay,
I
that makes sense.
an explanation, but that is it. If I say you're gonna go to grandma's house, put your shoes on, that's the explanation. Put your shoes. There's balance too.
No, it's definitely bad. It's definitely bad. That's what I love about being a parent. Like it's a balance, because you are a parent. You have to direct them, but then you also like are there to enforce them because they're their own person too. So it's like it's definitely a balance that you have to learn as you go. You know what I mean? That's definitely one that I've learned too, because I know how my daughter is with her mom, and I know how she is when she's with me. But she just thinks that she's smarter than both of us. So she tries to play the field, but like we communicate up here. So we're like, hey, your daughter thinks she's slick, and she's like, no, I know. She tried me with this the other day. So we just, it's good to have that understanding and, knowing the kid itself and really knowing your child. And that's so important in my parenting, is to, make sure I know her. So when she gets older, she can be comfortable with me. You know what I mean? She isn't something that's oh, that's dad. I can't do it. And it's like, no, that's dad. Like, what you mean? Like, of course, I'm going to come to him and talk to him about pretty much any and everything, because, that's so important to me, is that trust and that comfort. Because if you feel comfortable with somebody, then you can be your authentic self. And if they, as a parent, if they cultivate that in you, is just being authentic, you're going to be something in this world that, people are going to be like, who is that person? Why is that? Why is it? It's because they're their own person. You know what I mean? They've been their own person for so long. So I
So
definitely love that.
we are on live on IG, and we have a couple of people listening to us. So I want
Yes.
to be mindful of those people who are listening and answer any questions that you might have. Somebody said they're really enjoying this conversation. You're welcome. I appreciate the love. So yeah, I just kind of want to be. We can carry on forever, but I want to be mindful of
No,
listening to
definitely.
you. And if you all have any questions, please feel free to ask them or join in if you have any statements.
Yes, I've been checking to see if some people have popped in on a question thing, but IG Live is so weird. I thought you can just ask the question at any time, but I guess you have to open it as a Q&A, like actually go live as a Q&A for it to pop up. So yeah, I've been
Yeah, but
checking, like
people
no
can
one's asking.
comment questions.
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions or any type of feedback, definitely feel free to, like I said, this is a whole UF alumni here. So
Yes, I got my
get to asking
undergrad from.
away, definitely.
They wasn't gonna get me from my graduate program, though. It's it's ridiculous.
I don't blame you. I do not blame you. That's the smartest move to make because that's an
Honestly,
arm, a leg, and a half of your ear somewhere. That's a lot. They get you. They
yeah,
get you for that. They get you. But
they
it's
entire life.
prestige, you know. They've done a lot of work to be able to charge them numbers.
It's
But
a good,
yeah, some
but yeah. So I guess our goal is just with this live is just to kind of let people know who we are, let people know that we're here.
mhm.
Um,
Definitely highlight, you know,
I don't
some
go
of
live by
the
myself. I always feel super awkward
I'm the same way, so I completely that's why I put you on the spot. I was like, oh, I'm about to put her on the spot.
because I want to start a podcast soon, and I feel like that would be better for me because I'm a little camera shy. But I want it to eventually evolve into to where I'm more comfortable making videos and stuff like that.
You definitely should. And you're charismatic. Your energy is dope. And you're straight to the point. So people will be like, you know what I mean? Like somebody said that before and I was like, oh no, she's real as hell too. Like she'll
No,
tell you about yourself real fast. So
but you know that's one of the things that I think my clients value about me. I don't
yeah,
waste time going around bushes. Like this
exactly.
is life, and we got to get into it. So let's do it. I haven't gone through every experience in life that I've gone through to be silent about it.
Yeah. And it's that's important. It's important to give back. That's why I love the way that you said the construct of what you do compared to, you know, the other aspect of
I
the
because I think that more people in the helping profession need to be people first.
yep, yep. And that's my biggest thing too. I want people to see my flaws because I'm not perfect. And I don't want to be perfect. I want to be real. Like I'm helping
People
you.
want us to be real. Like
Yeah.
I can tell you there's so many times where people will come into the office, right? And they're like, "Okay, you have degrees. So, do you know me? Can you help me? Do you understand where I'm coming from?" Like that's me as a client for sure. Like, okay, you
Yeah,
have a
definitely.
PhD. Okay, you have, but who are you?
Hmm.
Like, can I really vibe with you? Because I'm about to tell
Facts.
you my whole life, and I'm gonna count on you to help me get through these things.
Hmm.
So that degree is not the only thing
That's
that's
why I feel
gonna
like
give me the
empathy.
ability. Yeah. And
That
you
that
can't
that
learn that.
empathy is so nope, you can't. It has to be just innate in you. You know what I mean? And time and you have to go through some stuff, man. You have to really go through some stuff to really be like, I love people. You know what I mean? And not be like, I hate people, you know, because
Yeah, I
it's
was
really
there for a little while. I'm trying to tell you.
it's a fine line, man. I'm telling you, it's literally like doom. It's right there. You
Yeah.
left, right to look like on your just turning your
But
head
it's
and you there.
always like an internal thing. Like
Yeah.
when I felt like I could say I hated people a long time ago, it was because I hated what people had done to me.
Yep.
But it was what I hated is that I allowed people to do those things to me because I
Hmm.
didn't know where I was coming from. I didn't know who I was, what my value was. You know, I value myself so much because I work hard on me.
Yeah. Facts.
I'm not gonna let nobody take that away from me.
Facts. I'm the
Period.
same way. I'm the same way. I tell people that all the time. I'll go toe to toe with anybody that tries to tell me about me. Because like as much as open as I am, like you still
Mhm.
don't know exactly all of the walks that I had to walk. You know what I mean? So it's like I did a lot to get here. I've been through a lot to get here. I'm still going through a lot to get to where I'm going. You know what I mean? So it's like the process is never ending, but along this process, I would be just I couldn't feel right getting there and then being like, oh well let me it's like I don't even know I don't think I ever will get there because I'm always going. You know what I mean? That's just
Right.
me as a person. So for me to get there and then feel like turning back and helping people, no, it's not an option for me. So I while I'm on my journey, I'm like, hey guys, this is what I learned, this is what I cultivated. Look, you know what I mean? Like if it wasn't real, I wouldn't have applied it and actually molded my life with it. You know what I mean? And this is the outcome. Like you can do the same thing. Like I was in foster care. I was homeless. I was, you know what I mean? Like doom, 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 doom. All the odds against me.
Hmm. Right.
I came up on top just because of the way I thought about it and the way I seen it. I seen it as opportunity to grow. You know
And
what I
you're
mean? I
no more
seen
special than anybody else.
exactly. The
Neither am I.
only thing I did was just, you know, change how I looked at it. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
and everybody can do that. Anybody in this world can change the way they look at something. You know, it's
But
just
sometimes we just need help
exactly. That's what I was
learning
about to
how to
say.
do
It's
that.
just having somebody that gives you the tools. Like I tell people, I'm a guide to a toolbox. Like, here's a toolbox.
And
Just
eventually
sit
I'm
back.
going to show you how to use the tools you already have. That's one of the things that I love as a strength-based therapist. I
Hmm.
don't like to focus on all of the deficits that you think you have in life. I like to focus on all the strengths that you've developed along the way.
Yes, definitely. Because those strengths uplift any weakness that you have. You know what I mean?
Just like I love ADHD. It's like a superpower. I
Yeah,
love working with people who have ADHD. I taught for a little while with students who had ADHD, but I did that as a therapist. So I knew all of that before I became a teacher.
yeah.
Really powerful because what I learned is that ADHD is like the ability to focus on more than one thing. But they say deficit because you can't focus on a singular task.
Yes. These are
Okay,
facts.
you can focus on five things and not one. I think that's a strength, right? So instead of focusing on the fact that you can't focus on one thing, let's focus on the fact that you can
That you
focus.
can focus on multiple things. Like I was diagnosed with ADHD, so you're hitting home for me because this is how I explain it to people. I was 9 years old and I took myself off my medication. Like I told the doctor, I'm like, this makes me not want to eat. I love to eat. It makes me feel weird. I'm not with that. And they was like, oh, I was like, yeah, I'm not taking it anymore. It's like, what do you mean? I was like, I haven't been taking it for 7 months. I just been spitting it out. So just so y'all know, like, don't put me on it anymore. So, so this whole time from like 8 to now I'm 27 years old, I've been dealing with ADHD in the sense of doing everything that they said is not how you're supposed to do it. I'm sporadic and this, but I'm literally focusing on 7 to 6 different tasks at the
Mm-hmm.
same time. And when I'm done, all 6 of those tasks are going to be done. You know what I mean? So like when I clean my house, I clean my room, I clean the bathroom, I clean the living room, all at one time. So if you're not like aware of what I'm doing, my house looks a
It looks
fucking
crazy.
mess. You know what I mean? So it's like, you're cleaning? I'm like, yes. They're like, how? Like nothing's in order. And I'm like, I know, wait. So it's like, let me get everything, boom, 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 boom. And then I'm done. I'm like, huh. It's
But I did that
organized.
in school. So with students who had ADHD, I would give them a math sheet, a reading sheet, and a coloring sheet. And they finished
Mm.
all three sheets before anyone else finished. No lie, because
I
that's
believe
how
it.
their brain would work.
Yeah.
But with multitasking, it has to be things that work together. And so that's
Hmm.
what I teach people of ADHD, because when you don't have ADHD and you're given one thing, you're like, okay, cool, I can breathe. I got one thing to do. But if I give you 10 things, you're like, oh my God, that's too much. Can't do it. It's overwhelming. But for someone who has ADHD, that one thing is the same feeling. Oh
Yes.
my God, this
Yes.
is
You
so
cannot sit there
boring.
and be
I
like, you're like,
cannot.
it's cringing. It's cringing. Like focusing on one thing is like, I will literally be like, no. And I will go like, if you didn't tell me to focus on one thing, I will focus on it. I'd be like, okay. But as soon as you say, well, that's the only thing you need to focus on, I'd be like, only thing? What do you mean? Like, I gotta
Yeah,
sit here and do this for this long until it's done? Like, no, I can't.
yeah.
I just can't. I need to go and do something else. It's why I'm an artist. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Why I do this, make music,
But they work
podcasts, write books
together.
and stuff.
That's what I was trying
Exactly,
to get at. So, like,
exactly.
holding a glass of water and jumping rope, those two things will never work together. But holding a glass of water and stirring something in that water, you
Yeah,
can do those two things effectively at the same time. And so that's what I try to help people learn, how to effectively multitask with their
definitely.
ADHD.
I appreciate this conversation because I've literally been sitting here for so long, like, man, Mark, you need to just focus on one thing because you just,
No, you don't.
But then I said,
Things ain't
saying that,
built
I was
that way.
like, why do I need to focus on one thing? Like, no, I can get a lot of stuff done. Like, this is my superpower. I always say that. I'm like, it's my superpower. Like, I don't get overly exhausted either because it's like, it just goes naturally. So it's like, I get overly exhausted when I try to pinpoint everything down to one. And I'm like,
Yeah.
because it's so much that,
But we
I
need
can't.
all of these different types of people in the world.
Agreed. Agreed. That's why everyone's so unique in themselves, and they're needed. Their energy, their who they are is needed. You know, like who they truly are is needed here. Because you can have a gift that I don't, that I need to go teach somebody else. You know what I mean? And
Right.
if you weren't you, I would never even have seen you. You know what I mean? So like, it's you're absolutely correct there. It's needed. It's needed. This type of conversation, this dialogue is
It
why I
is.
do it.
Yeah, it's so one-sided.
Hmm.
I reflect on it as a book of monologues. If you've ever read a book a lot of monologues, there's a lot to be left unsaid. Like social media is a lot of people's personal opinions, but that conversation isn't there. And so when the conversation isn't there, that engagement, that feedback, like the growth, it's just a
Yeah,
bunch of opinions.
yeah, definitely.
But
That's what
this is what we need. These live conversations.
definitely. I'm trying to see if we got any questions here yet.
Thank you, everybody who's watching.
Yes, thank you. It just seems like everyone's like that's loving the conversation and just getting a lot of information from it that
Mhm.
they're saying they can't even pinpoint questions because we answering them as we go. So that's great. That's good.
So yeah, just kind of to recap, mental health has a lot to do with responding to the world that's around you in a way that is a reflection of who you are inside, and
Hmm.
just being grounded and rooted there is key to being successful in life, because that success is determined by you, and then what you think is success is determined by you.
Yeah, facts. What's three things that you would give everyone to go on with into the next year, really? Just three key.
I think the first one is to not be afraid to fail, because I see even in education right now, the teachers are failing, the students are failing. I don't know a student that's not failing right now, to be honest. But that's just because we are adjusting. We're in a state of adjustment. Like, this is
Yeah,
where we are. This is what we have to do. Be very compassionate with yourself, and know that you're going through life with everybody else who's going through life too. No
definitely.
exempt from the BS, from the trauma, from different things that happen in life. Like, none of us are exempt from that, no matter what we do. Things happen. So I think it's important to first and foremost, like, know who you are and spend that time to reflect. Know that it is okay to fail, because failing means that we can learn from it and go on.
Hmm.
In 2020, also, I've heard people say, I should have known. No, you shouldn't. You should have known, because if you knew, you probably would have done something different. Like,
Facts.
but you know now. So what are we gonna do now? So that's another thing, is just to kind of understand that failure is a part of life. It's okay. You keep going. And the second one is just to be compassionate with yourself. Like, know that you're in a state with everybody else in the world right now. It's okay if you are sitting at home and you're doing nothing.
Yes.
Like,
That is okay.
listen to yourself. This is where I am. Now, when you get to a place where you feel like this is not where I want to be, instead of this is not where I should be, but this is not where I want to be, then you can start thinking about how to get yourself out of that. But stop focusing on what people say you should be, and be real with yourself. Be authentic with yourself.
Agreed, 100%.
That was, but I think those are the most important things, really. Just like, be real with yourself.
Hmm.
Real with yourself. It's okay to not be perfect.
And love yourself through the whole entire process. The good, the bad, the ugly.
Experience. Every
Hmm.
experience in life has taught me something different.
Yeah. I
And
wouldn't be who I am today without all of literally every single last one of the experiences. If one didn't happen, I would probably not still be the person I am here. And
and
that's huge.
none of them break me,
Yep.
because I'm
So,
grounded, rooted in who I am.
yes, ma'am. So thank you so much for coming on and spending this hour with me to, just give back, just give to the people that, the knowledge you've gained over the years, the knowledge have in an educational level and experience level is huge on both sides because, you can learn, you can read a book, but having the
Right.
experience and actually going through the field, it's a different dynamic. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and, telling a little bit more about yourself and the community and what we actually need to really look at. So I always appreciate it. Yes,
Thank
we
you.
could probably be here forever. So
Well, I'm gonna have to put you on my live next time.
definitely, definitely, definitely.
I'll
I know you got a lot of stuff coming up too. So we definitely won't be the last on both sides. So
push. I really appreciate it. I'm definitely gonna have you on my live because I don't go live because I don't know, it feels weird. So I like to have, but I love having conversation with people. So I have to
yeah,
go live, invite somebody to my, just learn how to use it.
might as well because I'm telling you, it's you definitely have it. So you have it. So you will definitely see a lot of more people gravitate towards that too as well. Like for me, like I have a voice, so people really gravitate to my voice. I only go live because it's easier for me. Um, but I don't like being in the camera.
I feel like on social media sometimes we all just like look like little Barbies, like world. But I work with people and I want people to see me with no makeup on, just
Yeah,
kind of me. This is real life, and so I like that live gives me that platform. So I'll
yeah,
definitely
same.
utilize it some more.
Well, you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you again. Like I said, it was a pleasure, and we'll definitely have to do this again.
Yes. So thank you all for joining my first live.
Yes, thank you all for watching. And if you have not, go to YouTube and type in Third Eye Conversation and follow the page, or Metaphysical Marc as well. I'm going to take this video and upload it up there. It's going to take me probably like 2 or 3 days to actually get it done. But it'll be up there too if you guys want to recap and go back. And it'll be on my IG Live television. So
And all my platforms are AmandaAshley.life.
go follow.
Everywhere.
Thank you again, Amanda.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye.